Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. We are so glad that you are with us today. It's Chris Williams, marriage and family therapist. I have marriage and family therapist Marc Cameron. How you doing?
Hello, Chris. Hello, Jill.
Hello, guys.
Yes, and Dr. Jill Hubbard, licensed psychologist. Jill, we live in a stressful time. In fact, a stressful political event. We're in the middle of it, right?
Yes, we are.
And we're about to see the culmination of that, hopefully, here in a few weeks. But stress is all around us.
Yeah, I'm a little stressed out, Chris.
Well, tell me about it.
Because I've been studying stress. Yes. So I thought I would talk about stress.
Awesome.
And isn't it true with stress? We say things like, I'm a little stressed out. This feels stressful. I'm really stressed out. I'm stressed out of my mind, right?
Yes.
And you and I were talking about stress recently, and we were talking about that pressure that you feel with stress. Your term was mounting pressure, and I really, really loved that. And I think that stress is definitely on a continuum. And some stress is actually good. You feel a little stressed for about positive things, and that might mean I'm excited. I'm anticipating something good to be happening. And so, the juices are flowing. But more times than not, it feels negative. And the increased pressure that we feel over time usually feels out of our control.
Yeah.
And so the more something feels out of our control, the more we feel stressed. And stress is like this kind of umbrella term or general term that everybody knows what it's about. It can be minor things, like acute stress is like, oh, I have a test, or I have a deadline, or dang, I just had a fender bender. And we move through it quickly. But when we have chronic stress over time, wow, we really take the hits for that. Our body takes the hits, all of the systems. In our physicality and in our mind, all take the hits of stress. And so it's important that we monitor that. And I think about this week was October 7th. That was a really stressful day. Not just really stressful, that moved into distress. Yeah. That was a day for me where a year ago I had to put my dog down on that very day.
Yes.
And so that was really sad and stressful, and making that decision while the whole world was blowing up, while Israel was being attacked.
Yeah.
And that moved into distress. Like, what do we do? That's like really out of control and beyond. And I think that's some of what you're talking about. Just the climate now is a stressful climate. Who's going to, act out or erupt in anger, or what's going to happen depending on who wins the election. All of those things create a stressful climate.
Well, and mounting stress, too, is about its sources and how many different sources.
Yes.
And so let's get really honest here about our news cycles. Our news cycles operate and count on us being stressed. That's how they gain our attention. That's how they keep our attention. And so the motivation is stress. If our news cycles were to get us relaxed, we wouldn't need them anymore.
Well, and it's the same thing with our phones, right? Our phones are designed to spike cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone, to get us to keep on checking them, right? They use stress as a motivator to keep us addicted.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I hear the music. At another time, we're going to talk about stress management.
Absolutely.
And what do we do with all this stress? But we do need to do something with it.
Absolutely.
Because it can really hurt our lives.
And to that hurt, chronic stress blocks gratitude, blocks joy, blocks connection. It blocks so many good things in our life that keep us healthy and moving forward.
It keeps us functioning as an adult, or keeps us from functioning as an adult.
Absolutely. We are so glad, again, that you are with us today. We're going to go to the phones right after this.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or a physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 1st through the 3rd. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. You know, we were just talking about stress and all of the problems, all of the sources that are available for stress, the ways we can consume it, and also the ways in which it negatively impacts us. So, Jill, what do we do about this problem?
So we want to build up our resilience to stress, right? So out of like all the things that I've been looking up, there's some really common ones, and I know this is just like common knowledge, but there's 4 basic ones. We need to move our bodies, physical exercise. We need to pursue good nutrition, so that we're really fueling and feeding our bodies well. We need to get rest, and so practicing sleep hygiene is super important because the more stressed we are, the less we sleep. And you know, even talking to you guys about it, I feel a little less stressed, and that's the social support that we need, right? So we need to have social support as some of the main ways of dealing with it. But there's also things where you can, slow yourself down. It's really important to slow yourself down, especially with acute stress, focus on your breathing, and then get yourself to a place where you can actually reflect on it and think about, okay, what are the stressors in my life, right? And can you change the situation? Like, how much control do you have? And can you then maybe create some more space for yourself? Because the busier we are, the less ability we have to handle things. I think sometimes we have to adjust our expectations and our standards, maybe relax those a bit. We have to reframe our thinking, how we're thinking about something. We may be holding on and digging in, and there may be another way to look at it that may mean we have to let go of some things, but is less stressful and actually relieves us. So we also need to make sure that we add in pleasure activities. The first thing to go when we're stressed are things of pleasure. And yet we need that to balance out, because if it's all work and no play, we're not happy and we don't do well. And then it affects our body and things start to break down. Yeah,
that's so good, Jill. It reminds me that so much of what we see, I jokingly refer to it as OCD, and not what we think is the DSM diagnosis, but the Orange County disorder, since I live in Orange County, California, is that we live such overwhelmed, busy lives that we neglect the very things sitting in front of us, our own bodies, that's our physical exercise, our need for rest, our diet, our relational connections. And really, that's what stress is at the end of the day. It's a feedback mechanism to tell us where a need is not met.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes busyness is a badge of honor for us, right? If we can be busy, right? Because it means we're productive. It means we're accomplishing. But the busier you are, right, the less you have time to do these things. Like you said, if you're eating on the go, you don't have time to really meal prep and plan, and you don't have time to rest, so you don't have time to plan activities with others. And we handle stress in one of two ways. In these categories, we either handle them relationally or we handle it non-relationally. And like you said, it's learning to talk about it with others in a productive way. But if you don't have someone to do that, then you're more likely to numb to it.
Right. The negative
addiction.
Things. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Eating,
correct.
Drinking, doing the quick fixes. Yeah.
And so, and learning to look at how stress is learned, is a learned response. What did our parents do to handle stress? And if you look at that, you'll probably see roots in what you do now to handle stress.
Absolutely. There are so many different ways. If you're struggling with relational connection, go on our website, newlife.com, pick up the book People Fuel, pick up the book Trust. Pick up the book How We Love. There are so many different ways in which we can improve our relational life.
And you have to create a little space to be able to read those books.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's so many other resources about diet, about exercise that we provide here. So we would love to help you manage your stress well so you can live a fuller life, and especially a fuller life in Christ. Thank you so much for that, Jill. We're going to go right back we're going to go to the phones. We're going to Reen in Lewisburg, West Virginia, on Sirius XM. Reen, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. What
Good.
a great afternoon. Hey, I was just calling real quick because I wanted to just say thank you to all of you for what you do, and to know that God multiplies your work. My husband and I listen to you, and we do a lot of counseling within our own church, and the resources that you offer, we offer. And, personally, we pray for your families. I think of the one gentleman about a month ago that was ready to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And over the air, we heard you're talking to him and acknowledging his pain and his need. We had a similar situation here that we were able to offer someone some help. So just know that, when you do things like this, I'm sure you already know this, but we pray hedges of protection around your families.
That means a lot to us.
Thank you so much.
That's where Satan's going to attack everybody today, right? He can't get the church. He's going to go after the families.
Yeah.
So just know that you are being supported in prayer. Your work is being multiplied, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, thank you so
thanks,
much, Reen. I have a question for you, Reen.
Yeah.
Tell me about, this is going to be a little bit self-interest, okay? Tell me about your ministry at your church and what you guys do, and how New Life provides some of the resources that are helpful to you there.
Well, there's a lot, what you were just talking about, stress. There's a lot of women that I've been counseling. My husband and I have been married for 43 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, we're very grateful. And, we've been able to learn a lot. We have 4 daughters that are grown. We have 9 grandchildren. We did not raise the perfect family. There was a lot of issues we had with a couple of our daughters that we learned a lot from. And we were able to pass that knowledge down. So that's one area. The other one is, what made our marriage work, and how we really had to learn how to listen to each other and how to love 100% in the interest of the other person, and how to repeat what I think I heard, because sometimes what I thought I heard was not what he was saying.
Yes, yeah.
And there's a lot of that silent, which would lead to some negative behavior. And boy, God has really purged a lot of that Satan was using to divide us. So that's kind of how we're being used within our church. Is my husband's a deacon, and so have our care ministry and a group of families that we're responsible for, that we take very seriously. And God has been able to use a lot of our life experience over these 43 years to help those families and to help the pastor.
I love it.
Oh, we absolutely love that. Well, Reen, we thank you so much for your ministry and you and your husband's response to God. And we just see this so much in our lives, is that the very places in our heart, in our lives and in our hearts where we hurt or struggle the most, that God leads us through, is the very redemption of ministry that he calls us into. And so
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's hard, those things were tough, but boy, and my dad was a pastor, and so I grew up in the church. So, Romans 8:28 and 29, I would always look at those as cliche verses, but boy, the older we get and the more experience we have with the Lord, you do see how he does redeem all things and how he does make something that was so awful, he can bring good from it. So.
Absolutely. I always say this often. A cliche's a cliche until it becomes real. And then then the cliche becomes true.
Well, they're cliches for a reason because they are largely true.
Yeah. Because it's so true, it's repeated, right?
So, Reen, I have another question. Oh, go ahead.
Sure. I was just going to say, and like when we're in our 30s, we just thought we knew it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were not teachable, and so there was some people that were trying to breathe some help into us, and we were like, oh no, So that was the other lesson that we were passing to other people. It's just we're never too old, even where we are now. We're in our early 60s. We're never too old to be teachable.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We need to hear that, and we again greatly appreciate it. Hey, do you have the book How We Love?
No, I don't.
Okay, we're going to send it to you. We would love for
wonderful.
you guys to have a copy of that. We know that it's going to continue to be beneficial to you guys and to your ministry, and mostly it's just a great appreciation for who you and your husband are and the work that you guys are doing.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, thank you, Reen, and thank you so much for calling in today. And again,
and for praying for us.
Yes, and we're going
thank you.
And we're going to return the favor and be praying for you and your husband and your wonderful marriage and family and ministry at your church. Thank you so much for that. We're going to go right back to the phone. We're going to go to Joy in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, listening through our podcast. Joy, what's going on today?
Hey, good afternoon. So my question is, I recently discovered soft porn on my husband's phone. I actually saw him looking at it. He didn't know that I could see what he was doing. I was in the bathroom and he was in our bed, and I could tell that he was taking his time scrolling carefully through things, and I could see that it was definitely women in very scant bathing suits and whatnot. And so what I'm asking from you guys is, what is my next step? I did confront him.
Okay.
He didn't deny it. He said, well, it was National Daughters Day, so I was looking at, pictures of women who've posted pictures of their daughters. And I didn't buy it, but the next morning he apologized, actually, and said, I never meant to dishonor you, but I can't help what pops up on my phone, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on his phone when he wasn't aware, and I saw that he is following 2 different sites, I guess you would say.
Okay.
And when I clicked on them, it was picture after picture after picture of beautiful young ladies in very,
scantily dressed.
Sexy thing. Yeah, exactly. So, what do you suggest? And is this, like, I listened to your commercial about every man's battle, and it, whoever is talking says it's just, some people think it's just part of being a guy. What I feel betrayed. I feel, I think of our vows, forsaking all others.
Yes.
Help me understand where I should place this in my upsetment scale.
Well, let me just start here. Place it in the scale in which you feel it.
Okay.
First and foremost, right? Because when a painful thing happens to us, we're always looking for its right size. But usually what we want to do is minimize it. Explain it away. Get rid of the pain as quickly as possible. But I think on this one, Joy, let's start with the fact that this is your marriage, your relationship, your lifelong commitment. And if you're experiencing a pain and the pain of betrayal in it, be honest to what you're feeling and experiencing.
Okay. I am.
That's good. That's good. Well, Jill, what are you thinking?
Joy, I love the fact that you're willing to confront your husband on this, and I don't hear you minimizing it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I do hear him minimizing it.
Yes.
Problem is, it's a slippery slope, and we don't know, how long he's been doing this. But I always want to ask, okay, why now? What's been happening in his life? Does he get relief from this? What purpose is this serving for him? And is he even aware that it's serving a purpose for him? So I think it's important to address, and he will probably want to say, oh, it's not a big deal. I just do it once in a while. But it is, because it can grow into a big deal.
Yes.
And be a huge wedge in your marriage, because you're probably not the same age as those women. And I know as a woman, if someone's looking at these younger women, that makes me feel uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Then I'm not very desirable. So it creates a lot of pain for us women.
Absolutely. So, Joy, you hear the music. We're going to head to a break, but we want to come back, support you, and give you some wise direction right after this.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hit with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would have getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found life recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. I do want to mention as we come back from the break that we do have the Intimacy and Marriage Work Intensive and Weekend coming up. It's going to be held in Dallas on October 25th. And I mention this because it's really important. You need to register by tomorrow to get the early bird special. So anything in your marriage, if you want a better marriage, anything that you need to work on.
I think Joy
would be,
and her husband need to sign up for this.
Yes, absolutely. I think it would be incredibly helpful to them. So our Intimacy and Marriage, it's going to be in Dallas, October 25th. And again, early bird registration ends tomorrow. We've been talking with Joy. Joy had found her husband looking at illicit images of women and went on his phone and found a bunch more. And so, Joy, we want to honor the fact that you are hurt and feel betrayed by this, that this has created pain and, most importantly, distrust, broken trust in the...
Right. And we were talking about if one person in a marriage has a problem, like there's each person's issues, and then there's the relationship. Okay? And if you're having a problem within the relationship, your husband also has a problem. So it doesn't matter that he doesn't think it's a big deal. if he doesn't. The fact that you think it's a big deal and it's hurting you means it's important that he address it with you. So remember that in terms of him maybe trying to minimize things. And just also that breaking trust, we can do it so easily, and it takes a long time to build back. And you don't want to have that in your marriage. You want to know that when your husband says, "Oh, I think you're beautiful," that he means it. Right?
Yeah, I think it makes sense here, Joy, why you feel betrayed. I mean, if he's looking at pictures of other women, especially, like what Jill's saying, pornography is usually younger women, right?
With hairspray bodies.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's not.
How can we compete?
It's not real, right? You can't compete, and he's actually training his mind to reject you because he is training his arousal to be this younger, and whatever society
Fantasy.
says is attractive. That's what he's training his mind for. So he's training his mind to, if he's training his mind to be aroused to that, he's training his mind to reject you. And so you have every right to feel betrayed. I would confront him with this, and I would start with how you're feeling. I'm feeling unsafe. And I would say, this is what I have found. And I want to be able to talk with you about it. I'm feeling hurt on the inside. I want to know that you can listen and hear about my pain, and that you're going to be able to come up with a plan to show me that you're going to tackle this, you're going to address this, to build trust back. Because if he says he can't help what's showing up on his phone, we know that there are algorithms, right? Whatever you look at, that's what the ads, I'm sure you've had this. You talked about getting a new lawnmower or something like that, right? And then all of a sudden you have all these ads for new lawnmowers, and you're like, where did this come from? All of a sudden. But I liked what Reen was talking about before, the caller before you, because she was talking about in her 43 years of marriage, she and her husband, they've learned to listen to each other. They've learned to love selflessly. And that's really the key to repair in relationships. So anytime you have a rupture, you need to have a repair. And this is a rupture in your relationship. So there needs to be repair. It's not going to just be put away in a box and then everyone's going to feel better, right? And so it's the key here is his ability to be able to listen to you, to not minimize your pain, and to be able to respond to what it is that you need to rebuild trust.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, because Joy, the thing that I worry about, and we talked about this at the break, is that these things are always progressive. That one image leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and the rabbit hole of pornography and illicit material out there is endless. It's just a black hole of endless stuff. And so I believe that your call today is really important because we want to affirm in you to take it as seriously as you feel it.
Okay.
Take it as seriously as the fear indicates. And what I mean by that is that there's part of it that he's like, he'll have a reason, but there are a bazillion quote unquote good reasons. But none of them are good.
Well, right. And here's the thing. Okay, so sure, things will come up on the phone. But what you do with that, do you pass it by quickly?
Yes.
Or do you click on it? Right? That is the thing. Do you linger? You see a pretty woman. Okay, we all see stuff like that. But do you linger, or do you divert your eyes and look away?
And it's a training, like I said, he's training his mind, to be aroused by this. But you can also train your mind to say, yes, I am going to be aroused by this, but so I'm going to train myself not to look at it because I don't want to go deeper down the rabbit hole.
Right, because you're going to be looking for greater and greater thrill over time.
That's the way the brain works. It's called dopamine.
Right? You habituate to it. So
I see.
Yes, I think
we need to send... So confront him and see what his response is. I think that's your first step.
And I'll just say it. Every man's battle is not a bad choice. In fact, it's a very, very good choice. Because it's Joy. It's so much more than just finding sobriety and boundaries around sexually explicit material or behavior.
It goes deeper.
It goes way deeper. It's about how to relate well. How to deal with ourselves when we have needs that pop up, and how to deal with those in a healthy rather than an unhealthy way.
What's healthy intimacy versus non-healthy?
And I think that there needs to be a hard discussion a hardline discussion around boundaries around electronics, around screen time, and what he's going to do to rebuild that trustworthy behavior around that. So, Joy, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to send you a copy of How We Love that helps the marriage, but also want to...
Every Man's Battle.
Every Man's Battle, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll be back right after this.
5 years ago, I had been in porn addiction, and I'd had a sexual relationship out of marriage.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography. Find help today at New Life's Every Man's Battle Intensive.
It was the first time I'd ever divulged the sin that I had.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
I found a confidential comfort that was able to put a flame to a start of a healing process.
Now the intensive is coming to Orange County, California, November 1st through the 3rd. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
Thank you, New Life. They're the redeemed man. Thank you.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you are with us. And we are so grateful for those who financially partner with us, who generously give to this ministry, that we can keep bringing resources for guiding people to healing and health, especially in life's most challenging, difficult struggles. One of our supporters wrote in, and one of our listeners wrote in and said this: after my wife committed suicide, I had no hope. When I came across your program, it helped me a lot because you helped me in both the body and the soul at the same time. Through New Life and the Lord, I was able to start over and begin my life again in my grief recovery. Wow. And so, you know, we hear this so much, you know, that in the great losses that we have, being able to guide people through their grief, and enter into their dark moments and provide them resources and help. We can't do that without you partnering with us. And so, listeners, I encourage you, if you're not a part of Club New Life, join. That's our monthly donation program, and it is fantastic. In fact, we have a Zoom meeting coming up where we're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of information, a lot of cool things for our Club New Life members. Also, as we're coming up towards the end of the year, you know, this is a great time to look at your finances, where your resources are going, and we would love for you to be a financial partner with us. You can go online to newlife.com, click that donate button, and again, be incredibly helpful to us. More importantly, it would be helpful to those that we reach. With that said, we're going to go right back to the phones. We're going to go to Cheryl in Birmingham, Alabama, again, listening to us on Sirius XM. Cheryl, tell us what's going on today.
Hey, I'm going to give you a little backstory first, and that way we can move forward, if that's okay.
That's good, but yeah, just keep conscious of the time.
Okay. My son is in jail right now, and I'm having a hard time. He's around 30 years old and has 2 children, which he doesn't really see much. his biological father, whom became a alcohol and drug addict, when he was 3 years old, I had to take him. We had to run and leave, and he gave up rights to him, and that's all I wanted. And I've raised him. I've raised him in church. He was doing so well, very involved in church and in his youth group. But at 17, he wanted to meet his biological father. And our pastor said that if we didn't do it with him, he would do it without us. So we agreed reluctantly. And he did. He met him. It was maybe a 20-minute togetherness. Mm-hmm. And he was wrecked afterward, just wrecked. We did not know it, but after that, he slipped around and saw him some more. Uh-huh. And our son's behavior became very erratic. He started getting in some trouble. And come to find out, his biological father just kind of pulled him into the world of alcohol and drugs. Mm. And so he has had an addiction for quite a while. It's been about 11, 12 years now. Yeah. Last year, he was put in jail. And when he got out, he came to us. And it seemed as though he was really trying. He came to church with us. He said he wanted to go to rehab. We took him to one. His anxiety got the best of him, and that night he jumped the fence and ran several blocks away. I set up counseling for him. He went one time and didn't follow through. Long story short, he left our house after only 6 months and got back in trouble. Yeah. And he's in jail now. So I'm getting the calls from the jail. He wants us to get him out. He wants to go to rehab. But I'm very hesitant. He hasn't followed through on anything he told us before. Mm-hmm. And if we bail him out, which we told him we never would do that, we would be setting a precedent.
Okay, yes, yeah. So what's the question for us today?
How do I handle this? I have a lot of guilt over leaving him there, but I also have some anger and resentment too. Yes. That his 2 children, he's just left them high and dry, and when he goes off with the wrong people that he knows better, he just drops us too and leaves us. We don't hear from him. Yes, yeah. So Cheryl, that unfortunately, this is such a common experience with loved ones in addiction, because there is, we had talked about a little bit about with Joy, but there is a betrayal. That when he chooses the addiction or he chooses his dad's lifestyle, that everyone else goes by the wayside. Addiction is incredibly greedy. It demands everything. And
which is why it becomes an illness.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. We're not ruled by our right mind. You're ruled by the addiction.
Exactly.
And it takes over, and it has a life of its own, even though there are roots to it and rooted way back. And Cheryl, while this meeting with his dad, and understandably a boy wants to know his father, and there's an identification that takes place, looking back, the fact that you had to flee when he was 3 years old and dad was in the picture those first 3 years, there's a lot in your son that is struggling to make sense of it all. And so I think there's some deeper work that needs to be done. But absolutely, he's apprehensive. And the longer you're using drugs and alcohol to cope, the more emotionally mature you become. It's almost like you start going backwards in your emotional maturity. And so, I would wonder with him, okay, son, we've done this before. What's going to be different now? And really ask him that. And there aren't 100% guarantees, but I think with the history that you've had, it makes sense that you might be more limited in what you're willing to provide for him. And remember that you don't want to provide for him what he needs to do for himself. And so really kind of evaluating what what does he need to do for himself? And so be aware in you of your tendencies and your guilt that might make you want to jump in and figure it out for him. So I think it's important to get some counsel on this.
Yeah. I think allowing the consequences is often the most responsible thing to do, that you can do it, and often the most beneficial thing that you can do for him, right? Because consequences show us where the results of our actions lead. And again, it's a little bit different this time, because I think you said that you bailed him out before and you tried to give him all the resources, so you gave him an opportunity and he didn't take it. And so now he may need a deeper level of consequences before he hits rock bottom, right? We talk about that in addiction recovery, that someone has to really get, to the end of themselves, so that they can see that the addiction is not working for them anymore. It's not making them any more happy, even though it has a hold over them. And it makes sense, any kid growing up without a parent, especially from an early age, and the parent is gone, you tend to idealize the missing parent.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that can feel like a rejection of you, the parent who stayed, even though you're the stable one.
The parent who is safe.
Right, the one who is safe. It feels like a rejection of you, but it's really his rejection wounds, his abandonment wounds.
Yeah. And I think that that's really important to acknowledge that at 3 years old, there is this deep, deep abandonment wound that he's carrying inside of him. Obviously, with the person who abandoned him, he tried to fill it with, but all he got was the reason why he was abandoned in the first place. I mean, that's the irony of that cycle and the addictive cycle in families. And Cheryl, it only makes sense that you would be frustrated, but also carrying that, whether we believe it's unnecessary or not, you're carrying that real felt sense of guilt.
Right.
And so that's where I couldn't recommend Al-Anon more for a person like you.
Well, and just the grief that's also has anger in it too, right?
Yeah.
All understandable.
Yeah, you have your own pain here, Cheryl. So I would wait and, just stand back a little bit, see how desperate he becomes, because desperation is the key here. And maybe, even maybe the judge, or you may even be able to advocate for the judge to court order rehab.
Yes. Yeah.
We tried that. The judge has been burnt with that so many times, with people saying that they wanted that he doesn't order it anymore.
Well, yeah. So Cheryl, with that, I love this line: "Son, I'm out of ideas on how to fix your life. And as a result, I'm going to trust that you're going to be able to figure this out." Have him make those moves. Have him advocate for himself. Have him find those resources. The more that he does for himself, then that you can then come alongside. But again, I can't recommend more enough for you, Cheryl, that you get into your own recovery. You get into Al-Anon and do that work. And we're going to send you a Life Recovery Bible. And it's going to really help support you deeply, both spiritually and practically, in your and your son's recovery process. Thank you so much. We'll be back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family, or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step towards genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. I just want to remind our listeners out there that if there is a reason that you can't call into our show, that you can still submit questions. If you have a question that you would like us to answer on air, you can go to newlife.com/radio, and it will give you the details on how to submit those questions. And it's a great way to get connected with us if you're unable to call in. But we're going to go to a call-in right now. We're going to go to Sherry in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, listening on WBYN. Sherry, how's it going today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Glad that you're with us.
Good.
Tell us what's going on.
Good. Well, you had said about people that live in fear. I'm a Christian, and I know that I am not supposed to live in fear. But I am right now living in fear of financial problems. My soon-to-be ex-husband, he is in prison. He molested my step-grandson for 2 years. When I found out, I reported it to the state police, and they picked him up, and he's been in prison for 15 years. Now, his parole is coming up in January, and he is suing me for divorce. The reason I didn't divorce him before this time is because I get $500 a month spousal support. And if he is suing me and he succeeds, of course I won't be married to him, and I won't get the $500, and I'll be living off of $900 a month, which we know is impossible nowadays.
Yeah.
And so I'm living in a lot of fear. I have a lot of anger. I have hurts. I have memories that are horrible because of him. So many things that are really, really awful that happened. I am counseling. I've been counseling for probably 5 years. I counsel every Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till 11 on Zoom, and I have a wonderful counselor, and she's a Christian also, and she prays for me also on Zoom. But I don't know how to. Sometimes I know we're not supposed to fear, but how do I get away from that fear of not being able to make it, not being able to live?
Yeah, that's a really good question. A couple of questions. Sherry, how old are you?
I am going to be 70 years old on October 13th.
Oh, okay. Well, happy
happy birthday.
Happy early birthday from us.
New decade.
Yes.
It's a big one.
Yeah. The reason I ask that is because of some supports that may be available to you. Like there may be some other resources and financial help and resources out there that are available, especially for people who are considered victims of violent crimes, which we would consider this a violent crime. And though you would say, you're not the child who was abused, you are a victim in this situation.
Yeah. I never heard of ever getting any financial help though from that. But
okay.
Well, and Sherry, also in divorce, spousal support does continue after divorce.
Yes.
Now, it might be based on his income, which in prison, I mean, they're getting cents on the dollar.
Well, he gets two annuities, one every month and one every year. So he gets $700 and something a month, and then he gets $12,000 every February 1st.
Okay.
And he also owns property up in Potter County, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
His father
so he's not destitute.
No, not at all.
Well, usually
he has money.
A good attorney will get you spousal support, and yours is I'm assuming it's a long-term marriage because he's been away 15, and anything over 10 years is a long-term marriage.
It's 29 years.
Yeah, so you should get spousal support once the divorce hits, I would imagine, for quite some time.
Well, that would be a relief if that could happen, because my mind is just so absorbed with this and the fear of when is this going to happen, and you know what I mean? Because he hired an attorney, and then I hired an attorney from the Bar Association, and so she has my information. In fact, I just sent her a lot of paperwork, like birth certificates, marriage license, etc.
Well,
and
Sherry, ask
so
her.
I'm hoping.
Ask her about it. I'm surprised she hasn't already told you that.
Well, and Sherry, what I want to speak to is your statement of, I know as Christians we're not supposed to have fear or be fearful. And I think that's really a misinterpretation, because Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, was he fearful?
Yeah, he was.
He was, right? Yeah. So Jesus, the creator, the maker, the model, was fearful, demonstrated fear. Right, it's an emotion. Yeah. Fear is an adaptive emotion. It's supposed to be an indicator, not a dictator. Right, it's supposed to tell us something about ourselves, not like dictate what all of our actions should be. But it tells us that we're unsafe, or it tells us that we need to be careful, we need to be wary. And so I think you're feeling this maybe false guilt that you shouldn't be feeling fearful, when it makes complete sense that there's this unknown that is happening for you. And so I think it's okay to feel fear. I mean, we can't necessarily help what we fear. We can learn how to what we feel. We can learn how to manage what we feel. But what we feel is what we feel, and that's the way that the Lord has created us. And so I think what is a good differentiation is not making decisions out of fear.
That's good.
And I think if you can learn to have a good support system behind you, where you have people who you can take your stress, we were talking about this earlier on in the show, into relationship rather than being in isolation. They can help reassure you at times and maybe help you think about different ways that you can move forward. And as you get that reassurance, your fear will be alleviated. Do you have kids? Do you have a support system?
I have, my one son passed away. He was 43 3 years ago in May. And I have another son, and I have 2 daughters. But I know that they don't want me to live with them. All 3 of them. So that hurts me. It hurts me.
Yeah, that is really.
I'm their mother. I just don't understand how they could say that,
And even if they don't, even if you don't live with them, are they able to come alongside you to help you figure out an idea of how you can support yourself?
Yes, I believe my oldest daughter would.
Good.
Yeah,
That's what we want to do, because Sherry, I believe you asked the right question. It's a wise question. It wasn't, what do I do with the divorce? It's, what do I do with the fear? Because fear does that. It narrows our vision into almost this really, really small tunnel vision that only looks at the threat and then builds its own story around that.
Yes.
Where our solutions are so much wider. Like Jill was leading you to, like, the reality is that actually your reality is way better than your fear
so you
indicates.
Need the right information.
Exactly.
Which is important. And a lot of times we get paralyzed in our fear, so then we don't seek out more information.
So the right information and what Marc was leading to you is the right people. To support you as you're going through this, because you've been through a lot. And so, Sherry, we just encourage you, reach out to your legal counsel, get the information from there, reach out to your resources, and get the information from there as well. We are going to send you a copy of People Fuel. It's going to show you a lot of different areas in your life where you can build your own, what I call build your own tribe. Sherry, thank you so much for calling in today. Thank you all for being with us. We are so glad that you are a part of our lives and we're part of yours. Be well.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.